What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Miltrick Media. I am here with Petey Pesto, the owner of Pesto Records, Jacuzzi Fire, many more. How you feeling, Pete?
I'm doing good.
It's good to see you, man.
I'm doing excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We got the attire right here, and we also got the luau down here. I said that right, correct? Luau?
Those are lays, but
They're
it's
lays.
all right. We're gonna save these for when we start talking about Jacuzzi Fire. So.
Yes, we will get into that.
Yeah.
We're bringing it all back to the beginning. So, Pete, where did your journey as a musician begin? How long have you been playing music? When did it all start?
Well, I think that starts as soon as you realize that, you know, you get attention when people see you playing music, you know? So, I think it all started as soon as I was a kid, and I started singing when my father was playing guitar, and the whole family was like, go, do more, you know? So, I think it started with that, and then I started by playing piano, and I absolutely hated it. You ever like forced to play an instrument that you just like hate doing?
I used to play clarinet in like 4th and 5th grade. You know, you played the recorder in 3rd grade. Then I was in ensemble for like a year or two. I played clarinet, and you know, it is what it was, or whatever.
I think it was just like I think it was just you were just like forced to do it, you know, as a kid, and you just didn't feel like doing it. And I think I believe I was in 5th grade when I got my first acoustic guitar, and I remember I was jealous because my little brother got an electric guitar, and I was like, "Oh, that looks way cooler."
You got skimped a little bit. You got the acoustic.
Well, I still use that guitar to this day. It's still my baby. I love that guitar very, very much. I'm very happy I got it. But I remember,
That's great. You kept it.
yeah, oh yeah. It's been through hell. It's been stepped on. It's been fought on. It's got some battle scars in it.
Oh, yeah.
In the music video "Drunk Again" we just put out, there's a hole in the back of the guitar that some of my friends put through it in a fist fight, and you know, you can see through it now. But
Yeah.
but
It's got history. There's nothing wrong with that.
what was interesting about that guitar, though, is when I was a kid, I always wanted to know how they got that distorted sound, you know, like AC/DC and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I remember I finagled a couple things together. I put a pickup into that acoustic guitar, and I plugged it into an amp, and I overloaded the crap out of it. And I remember I called up my friend Frank, and I held the phone up to the amp, and I said, "Dude, listen to this." And I played "Smoke on the Water." I'm pretty sure it was either "Smoke
That's
on the Water" or
fire.
"Iron Man." It had the distortion, like the distorted sound, and I
Yeah.
was like, "We did it, dude."
That's like the Back to the Future scene where they're at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance in 1955. Marty starts wailing on the guitar, and the guy with the messed up hand goes in the back, says, "Listen, you gotta listen to this. This is some shit I've never heard of before." That's what it reminds me of.
Exactly. And we're the kids that understood.
You put 'em onto it.
We're the kids that understand now.
So it sounds like your father first got you into music. So you started playing music as a kid through his motivation, through like he was pushing you to do it?
So he knew a lot of country songs and a lot of Beatles songs. And I remember one time we went to the racetrack, and he was a braggadocio to say, you know, so, "Oh, me and my son, you know, give us a microphone. We're going to play, you know, to the entire place."
awesome.
So apparently, you know, I must have been like 6 or 7. I don't really, I have a very vague memory of this, but I remember it almost looked like the Coliseum. We had microphones, and I just remember singing Taj Mahal. I got a bird and a whistle. Baby got a bird. Baby got a bird.
And was that the racetrack?
Sings.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's cool. So your first instrument, so I first met you because I know you're a drummer, but I know you also play guitar. So the first instrument you picked up was a guitar or piano?
No, it was piano.
Oh, it's piano.
And I put it down, and I never played it again until recently when I started making beats, and I was like, oh, this is actually probably the smartest instrument ever
It's the
made.
most convenient now to know because that's applicable to everything with production now. The keys.
Absolutely,
Like just knowing
yeah.
some keys. Yeah, dude.
Well, the thing with piano is it makes music theory much more easy to understand, because on a guitar, you can play the same note in at least 3 different places a lot of the time. You know, same octave, different harmonics and stuff like that. But on a keyboard, there's only one A7. You know what I'm saying? There's only one, you know, of each. So you can see the scales that much easier. And honestly, from going back to piano, which I hated as a kid, I wish I'd spent more time doing it. It actually helped me relearn music theory.
Oh, wow.
Recently, yeah. So I had to go back to basics. You know, it's like, you know, you get older, you see how bright your parents were, kind of thing.
What they used to annoy you with sometimes comes back and it's like, well, I guess they weren't just bullshitting.
Exactly.
They kind of knew what they were talking about. So how long have you been a drummer? When did you first start drumming?
So I was in my first band, West of Dennis, which goes way, way, way back.
Yeah.
That was back in like Cup days and stuff like that.
Oh,
and,
shout out the Full Cup.
Yeah, and
Throwback.
my buddy Frankie Krungus, his little brother Anthony, who I love so much. I miss you, Ant, dude. I got to see you soon, man. He was the drummer in the band, and he had a drum set, and we were just goofballs, dude. You know, like
Yeah.
So we would just switch things up every so often, and I would hop on the drum set every so often, and I couldn't do the kick pedals, so I would just, and I just do the hands and stuff, and then
You're just hatting and snaring it.
And then slowly I worked in the kick drum, and then I got Rock Band, and that's how I actually learned how to play drums.
Legendary.
Was from playing Rock Band.
Yeah, Guitar Hero 2 was the first game that put me on. Really, I remember my cousin got it for me at the end of 2006 for PS2, and I binged the shit out of that game. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Legendary, dude.
And honestly, it is kind of funny because, once you start messing up, people do make those sounds. I make them,
Yeah, you fuck them up in the audience. They get really salty.
Yeah, you just don't hear it as loud, but you see it on their faces.
You do.
So
let's talk about Jacuzzi Fire. This is a new project of yours. We got it all going. We got the lays going. How you doing? So Jacuzzi Fire, it's an open source.
You got to put on the
I'll
lay.
put on later. Come on. We got it.
Understand.
All
right.
We're learning the birth of Jacuzzi Fire. This is what I'm fascinated.
Sure.
So Jacuzzi Fire, it all started recently. You had some shows. So you had this open source format, which is really cool. It's a surf rock band. So what inspired that format? The open source format for a rock band where you have different players.
So I kind of started that band because I hated being in bands. I started a band because I didn't want to be in a band.
I got you.
Which doesn't make sense, but
being in a band is hard logistically.
It honestly, it kind of doesn't make sense anymore when you look at how big bands used to be. A band used to be, sometimes an entire family. Think about the big bands. Frank Sinatra sometimes would have, say like 20 people on stage.
Yeah.
And then rock bands came out, and it got a little smaller.
Yeah.
And then it became like the 3-piece guys because then you could do all pedals and stuff and weird and like loops and things. And then it kind of broke down to now it's just a guy and a turntable and a rapper, and then now it's just a guy and his laptop, So the artist, the whole process of making a song has gotten so small that making rock music in the old sense is a lot of work, that is for a lot of people too expensive to do, and in a lot of ways it's not feasible to do anymore. But the idea with that is I had a bunch of things that I'd written on guitar, and I obviously work at a studio, and I know a lot about studios, so I can get around doing certain things that other people would spend months doing. It would take me thankfully like a week.
Yeah.
But I was just writing these songs, and I heard a bunch of my friends, in my head playing it like this person would sound really cool doing the bass on this. I just know it, or like this person would sound really cool on the drums, like I could just tell. And that's kind of how it started. It was like, I want to make a band, but I'm so sick of, I've seen how many great acts on Staten Island, especially, that just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
There's so many great bands. And there's still great bands now, but so much through the years.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times things just happen, certain people drop out, I feel like a lot of time it's one person leaves first, and then someone else is like, well, if they're not in it, then I don't want to, I kind of don't want to do it either anymore. So.
And even with the music and the shows you play, besides the band and the live aspect, you're promoting now your upcoming debut album, which has 21 songs on it, right? So you see, like, a lot of rock albums, they haven't had that many songs on albums. Well, they do, but 21, like, that's an ambitious project, so that's awesome. So, and you have numerous different local musicians on it. So how did that album first come together? What made you want to set out to then make a 21-track album with all these different musicians? Where did that album first start?
Well, it actually started with way more songs. I think I wrote probably about 30 or 40. And I have a bunch of friends who I really trust, and thankfully with the whole open source thing, I like to really get people's opinions on stuff, and workshop things and bounce things off other people, and throw things in there, basically ruin the song, and then have someone else be like, "You ruined it. You got to take that out."
But that is great though that you had that, because you get all this different feedback, you get critique, and I think the open sourcing, that's really cool. Yeah, because it's different.
Well, with the 21 songs too, I was kind of thinking it's kind of like an homage to almost like Operation Ivy. They had that one album that has like so many songs, and I was kind of like, well, if this never happens again, I kind of want there to be like a definitive piece, you know? So Needle Beach, when that comes out, I think that if you listen from start to end, it really does tell it tells a story, honestly, of what it's like looking out my window, you know, or just even being inside the window sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that project to me, and it was important that I got basically anyone who felt the vibe. What we did to record that album is basically I had all these songs, guitar and vocals. I tried, you know, basically to have like at least the song written in guitars. And then I just invited enough people to the studio. We were all hanging out that I would just hit play, and someone would go, "Can I do the drums on that?" I'd be like, "What do you mean?" "Yes, go, you know? And then some play the drums, another person who was just having a conversation in the back to hear the drums would be like, "Wait, is there bass on this?" You know? And they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Nope, there's no bass. You want to play bass on that? Strap it up," you know? And then that's kind of how the whole thing happened.
It's like an open jam cipher. It's like an open jam session, but also like a cipher.
Mm-hmm.
Combining that.
And I got a lot of that from working at the studio, because a lot of these songwriters, that's how they do stuff. They just attack, you know? And it's a different vibe for sure when you're in a band and you're all melding together and you're writing songs. I'm not putting that down in any way either, but this is definitely a different way from how I've ever made music with a band. And I think it's kind of derived from how I see these guys doing hip hop records, because they just kind of play a beat and then someone hops in, you know, and someone or another person's a producer there, and I'm like, ooh, let me put some different hi-hats on that.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong way. There's just different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is working at a recording studio, how has that influenced what you're doing now with your music and your music career?
Well, I feel like the fact that I hit export so many times a day, you know, with just so many people's, you know, different sounds, you know, mostly what I get is rappers, but at the studio I always find it funny when someone brings like, you know, like a wedding tape, or like they're bringing like I hear ghosts, you know, like, okay, yeah, let's find the ghosts, you know, like this is from my baby's monitor, you know.
You can sample a baby monitor, put that over a beat. That would sound pretty crazy.
I said, don't tempt these drill kids. They'll sample anything right now. They'll sample this conversation.
Listen, you never know. Never know. Get those royalties, bro.
But working with rappers is honestly, it's everybody works different. So being at the studio and just dealing with, you know, anywhere between 5 to 20 people a day, you know, because some people will come in groups, you know, and in that group, you know, some guy will be doing something that sounds like Juice WRLD, you know, another kid will be like, you know, I'm actually trying to sound like Machine Gun Kelly, you know, and another kid will come in and be like, you ever heard of Playboy Cardi? You know, so it's like every single, you know, session is something completely different, so it kind of keeps me on my toes.
Oh yeah.
You know,
it sounds like it does keep you on your toes, and you get to be a part of all these different styles and all these different sessions. Would you say that that's also helped your songwriting, or got you to think outside the box with your songwriting? Absolutely,
dude. Absolutely. There's some guys that come in that just are unbelievable. Like you hear them on the mic and you're like, I don't even want to hear my own voice talking right now. You're like, I didn't want to, like, just keep going, you know, like, I didn't want to. Yeah. And then you almost get kind of discouraged sometimes, because sometimes people are just so good, you know. But that's also why I enjoy having people who are just starting as well, because one, it kind of gives me a little perspective, because it's like, okay, well, all right, like at least I know how far I've come, and now I can help somebody else. Yeah, you know, and that's kind of my most favorite relationships that I have, is when it's someone who's coming in and they're just like, oh, listen, man, you know, I've got like a couple words, and you know, I don't really know what to do with it, you know, and then it's just from there we just kind of build something. Yeah, you know, and I guess I'm kind of sometimes. I feel out what people want in a session, you know, like if people want production. Some people just want to go in and just rap and don't really want me to comment on it, and that's cool too, you know what I'm saying? I'll just sit there and
like you're just strictly the engineer for that particular session in some cases.
Yeah. It's not like we're not cool, but you know, some people know what they want.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But there's also plenty of people who are just starting, and they look to me for advice, and I don't take it. don't take it for granted. Like I definitely appreciate that people, would want to come to me to like, dude, can you help me like, try to make my vision a reality? And that's kind of a beautiful thing. And it's something that is everlasting too.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and writes a song, and they really put their emotions and it connects to them, and everybody's rocking with it and stuff. And it's not easy to get to that, especially if it's your first time. But the first time you feel that, it's addicting.
Oh yeah. It's like a high. It's amazing. And then when you're getting something out and you're finishing a song that you've thought about for months or weeks and you didn't know how to get it out necessarily, and you see that vision come reality, it's insane. It's a wild feeling, bro. I know what you're saying. Yeah. So besides also the studio stuff you do, you produce and mix and you master bands and artists on your own, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have your own home studio setup where you've tracked artists and bands? Is that what you do as well?
Not so much out of the house. But the house is just I kind of do my own stuff there. At the studio, there's much more stuff that we can get away with, and obviously, I live in a next to other people, so
I got you.
Things can't be going on, especially too late, otherwise the neighbors will definitely get mad, and that doesn't mean that we definitely haven't screamed and stuff in there. But usually a lot of time, if you really want a good sound, you kind of got to go to the right spot. Yeah. So if you want, like, I'll get vocals from all over the place, like, and some guys, they'll get the little thing with this and that, and then they'll start yelling, and I hear it in the background.
Yeah.
Like you literally hear like their pots and pans.
Yeah.
Like in their house. And they're like, "What's that sound you added?"
Going on.
I'm like, "No, you just didn't hear that because you're not mixing the record." And then when it comes out clear, it's like, "Oh wait, I hear my entire living room."
Yeah. What's it called? So then, let's dive into Jacuzzi Fire and some songs you put out recently. So what inspired Drunk Again and Needle Beach? Let's talk about those songs.
So Drunk Again actually has the most controversial story, and you might have to edit this out, but hopefully not.
It's okay. You don't have to share it if you don't want to.
No, I'll share it.
We can talk about whatever.
It's not a bad story. It's actually kind of crazy. So Drunk Again is written, so me and my buddy Joe, who does all my videos, Joe Rocco Plesha, who's an amazing guy, who's a total jerk, right? But I love you, dude. That's why we get along, because we're both jerks. But we went down to Miami for the first time, and it's basically about us trying to get laid in Miami and just not being successful at it. So we wrote that song the week before we went to Miami the second time, because we were just like, all right, we want to go down there and shoot a video for something, but Joe was like, but I want me to be like a part of the song. I want to be like, I want it to be my song too.
Yeah.
Like, not just like your song.
The main character.
I was like, all right, so we'll write a song. So Joe and I had already had all those guitars and riffs and stuff done. And I was like, what should we write it about? And he was just like, well, let's talk about stuff in Miami. So I was just like, what's the first line? I go, you leave in the morning, I'm stoned and I'm horny. Take a bite out of your leg, I spent the night with your friend. The problem is there was these two beautiful girls, and I was just like, oh my God, I just want to bite her legs, something like that, right? And that's what Joe put into the song, because I said that. And the problem is that the girls liked opposites. The ones that we, like the one I wanted, she liked Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
And the one that Joe liked, she liked me. So we were just like, oh no. So it just, but obviously it was still a great night. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Didn't
Miami's
get any type of action though, but still amazing ladies. It was a fantastic night. But actually the second verse, which is the controversial story, which is actually kind of crazy. It was the first night we had landed there, and I get really bad airplane ear, like the...
Oh, it gets clogged or it pops.
Yeah. So, and I didn't sleep the night before because that was our first time there, so I was like all nervous and like excited. Yeah. So I literally just laid in bed like this, for like hours
you were
before
amped
the
up.
flight. Like, am I asleep yet? So we get to Miami, my ears, I'm tired, I can't hear anything, right? We're looking around for bars, we've never been there before, but I can't find nothing. So we're walking back to the hotel room, I'm just complaining the entire time. And Joe's like, all right, fine, fuck it, let's just go back to the room, right? So we're walking, and this beautiful girl is walking past. She's in a blue dress, blonde hair. She's all perked up and stuff, everything is in place, right? And she walks past us and she gives us the full up and down, right? And goes, hey, I'm stupid, people, right? I turn around, hey, what's going on? How are you? Do you know where the bars are? Because we genuinely didn't know where the bars were, right? So, stupid, how, I'm sure everybody who's been to Miami is like, how the hell don't you know where the bars are in Miami, right? So, but we genuinely didn't know. Our hotel was a little bit further up the block. So she's like, yeah, no, I know where the bars are. You want to come walk with me? So we're like, huh, okay. So we're walking with this girl, and maybe like a minute into walking, she gets a phone call, and she's like, hang out? He just wants to hang out? Okay, yeah, 1,500. And so she hangs up. And me and Joe look at each other, right? And we're like, oh, now we understand why this girl, got our attention.
Oh, okay.
So I let her know very nicely. I'm like, listen, her name was Dior. How didn't I realize her name was Dior? Your name was Dior. I didn't pay for the escort, right? I told her, listen, we appreciate you like bringing us to the bars, but listen, we're not looking to spend money on on your services. We're saying it however the nicest way we could. She was like, yeah, no, it's fine. I was like, but I'll buy you a drink. You take us to the bars, whatever bar, your favorite one, I'll buy you a drink there as thank you for, taking us to the spot. So she was cool. We were hanging out, talking. She said she'd been there for 3 months, and I think she said that she had already made like $300,000 or something like that. It was like some ridiculous amount of money. She had new teeth, new tatas, so I think she was waiting on like the ass injections and stuff like that. And we're sitting in the bar, and I bought her a Sex on the Beach, which was like $45 or something like that, and all the guys are in the bar like looking at us because we're sitting there with this bombshell, and we're, two little derpy dudes. I'm like half asleep, my ear hurts, and long story short, it's like, okay, we're about to send Dior off into the night, right? And Joe stupidly asks, he goes, how old are you? By the way, how old are you? And she goes, I'm 17. Yeah. So that was the last we ever saw of Dior. I hope she's still alive and doing well. I hope she's doing great. But that's the full story. So we met an escort, and she brought us to the bars. I gave her Sex on the Beach. She was 17 with new teeth.
So what about Needle Beach, and also another single, I Can't Skate, right?
Yes, I Can't Skate. Yep.
So let's talk about those singles. What was the inspiration behind those, or even with the production, the writing? Like, where did those songs first come about?
Well, there's a great song called I Can't Surf. I Can't Surf.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Tony Hawk 3, I think.
Shout out to Tony Hawk soundtracks.
Yeah, so I
they had amazing soundtracks. We took them for granted.
Dude, I'm trying to get into Tony. If anyone out there knows Tony Hawk, please, put him in contact with me because I got a whole catalog.
Tony Hawk, come on the
so,
podcast. We got a soundtrack ready for you.
There's a whole skate park outside. There's plenty of poles. This is Brooklyn. You can skate on anything out here.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of concrete.
Oh yeah.
But that was my idea with that was I was like, I want to try to write a song that I feel like could be in a Tony Hawk game.
Yeah.
Like, but I can't skate.
Was that Jacuzzi Fire's official debut single, I Can't Skate? Was that the first one? Oh, that was. Okay.
That came out with that and Florida Water.
Okay, Florida
Water. I'm releasing them as like traditional singles where it used to be a record, where it was the A side, B side.
The A side, B side.
So the A side was I Can't Skate. The B side
was Florida Water.
Yep.
That's cool. And Needle Beach was another standalone single, right? That was the second one.
No, Needle Beach is actually going to be the last song on the album. I don't think anyone's heard that one yet.
Okay, because I saw it on your socials. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a sad one. That one's that one's about like your girlfriend telling you she's moving away.
Oh, okay.
That's the vibe of that one.
I got you.
That's how the album ends.
Yeah, because even with your social media content, the IG, like with I Can't Skate, you were putting a lot of videos relating to skate compilations, memes in a way, and videos on Reels that was getting good engagement. So when you're going to market a song, what goes through your head? How do you market a single release?
Well, you kind of got to think about what audience you're shooting for. You kind of got to think a little backwards. So, I Can't Skate, it almost kind of wrote itself, or at least the idea for the clips, because those kind of never end, and for a little bit, actually, we had a couple people making compilations over like their own falling compilations over the song as well.
Oh yeah.
That was sick. And if any of you guys have skate, falls, please throw them over that video and we'll share it, tag you and stuff. But that was kind of my idea with that, was to just kind of get a little buzz going with, something that kind of anyone can kind of do, like there's plenty of clips online. And if anybody skates, everybody knows that 90% of skating is falling. So if you get if you get a camera out, to nail a trick, you're gonna end up with way more bails than land.
The success, yeah,
exactly.
But once you get the success, it makes it all that much more sweeter.
Exactly, but it also makes it so much easier to just throw this over the song because everyone has fails.
Yeah,
anyone who's ever skated, has
everyone our age group
falling.
Does.
Absolutely,
15 years of it, basically.
Sure.
Yeah, that's sick though. So. Even besides Jacuzzi Fire, what other projects are you a part of currently? Both as, let's say, a musician, a producer. What else are you working on currently?
So there's my favorite band, Gallons of Pork. I love those guys. We haven't played together in a long time though. I think the last time we played a show was in August for the release of our album.
August of 21.
Yeah, yeah. For the 3rd annual Fram Dongleson Memorial Hot Dog Eating Contest. That's the name of our 3rd album.
I got you. It's a hell of a title.
Yeah,
hell of a title.
And that one tells a very odd story as well of a man who loses his woman because of his fetishes, and then gets flown to Jeffrey Epstein's island, and then gets brought back to Atlantic City, and then gets sodomized, and then turns into a frog.
What a story.
Yeah, so we acted that out on stage, and we actually had a bunch of people come up and say a bunch of lines and stuff, and I had a bunch of girls push me around on stage.
Where was that show? It was in Brooklyn, Staten Island? Where was it?
That was at Mother Pug's.
Oh,
that was at the backyard, and I had the ladies from King Like Mom come up and bully me. Duca came up and he pretended that he was like Jeffrey Epstein's like concierge or something like that. He was trying to groom me onto the plane, which it was a great time, dude. But that's what's great about Gallons of Pork is it's just as ridiculous as possible, And when we were doing that album, it was just like we were just trying to gross each other out on purpose, like who could just say the nastier thing. So there's that, and then I also have a solo project, Collecting Reptiles, which that was kind of my first foray into really songwriting rock music.
Collective Reptiles is the name of the project.
Yeah,
Collecting Reptiles.
Yeah, it's all your demons. You just kind of putting them in boxes. And that's kind of my idea with it. So that's really, I just say basically any nasty thing that's on my mind and just scream it as loud as possible. I really don't put much thought into that. That's just, I want it to be as loud and gruesome and brutal. And, but I'm always kind of groovy, so there's always like a little bit of groove to it.
You got to throw a little groove in there. Nothing wrong with that.
And then there's this girl, Vixie Vice, that I've been writing a lot of songs for. She's been doing pretty well. We just put out a song the other day. That's hopefully going to blow up.
Nice. What's the name of that record that just came out? Let us know.
Drop Me.
You left us on the cliffhanger real quick.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So Drop Me. So that just came out with, the artist's name is Vixie Vixen?
Vixie Vice.
Vixie Vice. Gotcha.
Drop me, you watch me fall again.
Is that on all platforms currently? Nice. So then besides the other projects you just mentioned, you also are a record label owner, right? Pesto Records. So let's talk about the creation of Pesto Records. When did that start?
Well, now we're getting into the tax part of the episode. So this is what they don't teach you in school, kids. So
and we went to school for this too. We both did. But you just have to sometimes just go through the real life experiences.
Really, it's just a tax write-off.
I got you. Oh,
ta-da!
I got you. I didn't pick up. I didn't pick up on that at first.
Yeah, it's just a tax write-off, but it is a real company and it does exist, and it does save me a lot of money on taxes.
Because through Petey Pesto, right? That's the name of the other artist name you have. You also release other solo records, hip hop records, right? You have in the past.
Absolutely, but since I work at a studio, technically all of that counts as entertainment money, so all that gets funneled into the same account.
Oh, I got you.
Mm-hmm. And then, so just for the kids out there, right? And you could probably correct me on this, but from what I learned, and this is good because they don't teach this in school. If you make $100,000, let's just say, right? You don't keep $100,000 at the end of the year. You're going to spend a lot of that. So let's just say you have $30,000 left at the end of that, right? You spent $70,000. The government is still going to want to tax you for that whole $100,000,
Yeah.
Right? If you're a corporation, they only tax you on what was left.
The 30,000.
Exactly.
That's why you gotta form an LLC no matter what. That is the best kind. A limited liability company, and if you can, a single member LLC. We're gonna get into that.
We're giving out knowledge here, folks.
Giving out knowledge.
You got a Patreon yet?
No, I'm
They
actually.
gotta pay
I just
for that
made
kind of
one.
knowledge. Just block that little section out and be like
Exactly.
Patreon content only.
That is so. But I even talked about with other producers and artists a lot. Like, dude, like, just make an LLC. You could like make an LLC for anything you want to do. It's like for real.
Well, until you. Yes, I mean,
you got to get other shit in order, yeah. But
well, if you're just
good to know.
you're just gonna do it from your own artistry, you have to be making enough money from your music. Thankfully, because I'm involved in the entertainment business,
yeah,
that's my daily job is making music.
Yeah,
all
you're
that
an
gets
entertainer.
routed.
Is that because is that considered? It's entertainment industry. I don't know if you're considered officially an entertainment worker. I mean, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's under that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then basically everything music related is a write off. You know, so everything, drumsticks, cables.
Yeah.
You know.
So even Jacuzzi Fire, that 21 song project, did you record and write that mostly in the studio, or was there also other places where you were writing and producing?
So mostly how I've been writing songs is I just plug my guitar directly into Pro Tools, and the first I plug into Pro Tools and I set a tempo. That's the first
Get
thing
the
I do.
BPM down.
I feel whatever groove I'm feeling. Sometimes I want to go. Sometimes, you know. So I feel that first. I get the click going, and then most of the time, the very first thing I play ends up becoming a song.
Okay.
For instance, Florida Water. What's so funny about that song is that rhythm guitar was only played one time from beginning to end. There's no edits in that. The guitar that starts in the beginning is the same guitar that ends it, and that was the very first time I'd ever played that. And it was straight, the whole way through. So the take that made the album was me literally writing it.
Yeah.
And then what was also great was the drums were done by Mike Kane, who's playing drums with us tomorrow. He's amazing. Kane is a beast. He hit me up and he said that he couldn't come to the studio, but he still had to grab something out of my car. And I was like, well, I'm at the studio. He's like, well, I still got to come grab that. So I was like, all right, well, you're just going to play drums on this real quick, right? And I just knew he was going to nail it, right? So he's like, all right, let me just hear it. So Florida Water, there was no bass. I hadn't even written the words yet to it. He heard the guitar line one time, went in the booth, and played that one drum take. So both the guitar and the drums were no thought at all involved, no editing, and literally just start to finish, that was it, no edits.
You just laid it down?
Laid it down, and there's pauses and stuff in it. I was screaming. I was absolutely screaming. Yeah.
That's wild. So, let's talk about, this will be out after, but it'll be cool to talk about. So tomorrow, it's your next show as Jacuzzi Fire. You're playing at Juicy Lucy on Staten Island. So what's the lineup looking like for tomorrow's show?
For the band?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be Kane on drums. It's gonna be Sean Gold on bass. We got Uncle Joey doing the rhythm guitars. We got Cat Stevens on the lead guitars, and then we got me also playing guitar. We got 3 guitars going crazy up there. Me doing the lead vocals. Joey's also doing vocals. This girl Taylor, who used to work at the studio. A lot of people know Taylor. She's been singing with us. Hopefully she's going to make it. We have our friend Ryan, the Aquaman. Aquaman's going to be doing the congas. We might have this other kid, Troy, come up and do some bongos as well. It's going to be a charade.
That's awesome.
It's going to be a full charade.
What is the most memorable live show you've ever played throughout your entire career?
Oh, man. Oh, there's one.
Take your time.
Oh, no. There's one that I could really think of. We played up in Oneonta at Spleen is what it was called. It was basically like a frat house that wasn't a frat house. Just like a couple of our friends lived there. And our friend Aiden busted his spleen out front and he basically like froze on the sidewalk for 3 hours until someone found him. That's where I got the name. He had to be helicoptered to like a hospital or something like that. So like, dude, you want to go to the Spleen tonight? And I'm like, what do you mean the Spleen? It was this dump of a house. I actually pooped in some kid's bed there. I
went to Oneonta to remember the Spleen.
Yeah. Oh, you know the Spleen?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. dude, so sideways. You know, anytime the cops would come, they'd just like look and there'd just be bongs and beers and, you know, people just like laying. There was a point where we would, I'm not even going to name names, but they were getting away with just robbing.
Yeah, no names.
They were getting away with just robbing Walmart blind. Blind. They would like literally.
What, up there?
Every single time they went to Walmart, they would come back with as many 30 racks as they could fit in their car. And it was too many to drink. It would literally line the walls of the house. There was like a back wall. Do you remember, were you there at that point when they had the Miller wall? Or the
I don't know, but that point,
wall?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Or the Nerf Gun Phase? Were you there for the Nerf Gun Phase?
Bro, honestly, I don't remember.
So they stole every single type of Nerf gun that was out that season. And the only way you got points was if you shot someone in the eye. So it was literally the OK Corral there, and they'd be doing, you know, cocaine parties till like 8 in the morning, and we'd be trying to sleep in the front. But long story short, there was a show in the basement one time, and it's a Gallons of Pork show, and nobody's moving. It's a tiny little basement, you know, there's pipes and stuff, you know, it's hot. Why is no one moving? You know, we're playing really loud songs. So I noticed that there's these three girls, or like 4 or 5 girls standing in the front. It was a decent amount. And everybody's just like standing there, right? So I was like, what are we going to do to get this party started, right? So I just went up and I just shoved the first 3 people that I saw, which happened to be cute college girls, into a pit of like just anger and just pent up emotions. And it was the craziest show we ever played. People were doing circle pits. Half of our equipment broke. At one point, I looked over and, oh God, Crack Matt from Crack Matt and the Enablers is sitting on the floor with Joe Kaplan's guitar. And if anybody knows Joe Kaplan, they know that he does not like funny business with his stuff. And Crack Matt's literally sitting on the floor with the guitar. Everything was broken. We were going crazy. That was the best show probably ever. And it was in this tiny little basement. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Last but not least, what are your biggest musical influences?
I try to stay influenced by kind of everything. I feel like being in my position, especially working at the studio, I don't, but I wholeheartedly really try to listen to everything, even if I don't like it. I try to find something that you know, I enjoy in it. But what's funny, actually, is I find a lot of the time when people say, when I write a song and they go, oh, this sounds like this, it's someone I don't listen to, you know? So I feel like I try to think outside the box sometimes and do things that I haven't heard, but indirectly end up sounding like someone else who's already done something like that. And I genuinely haven't heard it before, you know, like, but people say I sound like The Weeknd. I do not listen to The Weeknd. And honestly,
but also you're around so much music, and there's so much music out that we're exposed to.
Yeah.
So much, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess if I was going to go back, probably my main influence would be like Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, I love Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
Their first 2 records, I have them on CD. I love them because my father had them, and I have the first 3 albums on CD. Yeah.
Core, Purple.
Oh, yeah. Scott Weiland's one of my favorite. Like, he's one of my biggest inspirations as a singer. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely that and Alice in Chains. I think I'm definitely a grunge guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I feel like for drums, it's definitely more like I'm like the Bonham. You know, the Bonham Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Where it's just like I just want to hit it as loud as possible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. So, Pete, Jacuzzi Fire, let us know all of your social media channels. Where can we find you individually? Where can we find all of your musical projects on social media? Every platform. Let them know.
It's pretty easy, bro. That's it. Just type in Petey Pesto on pretty much anything, and I'm going to show up right there. Pesto Records is the website. Gallons of Pork is the other band that I'm in, Collecting Reptiles. You should check that out. My good buddy Cat Stevens, which is, I keep telling him that name is going to come back to bite him in the butt, but it's Katt, Cat Stevens. I help him a lot with stuff. We're trying to work on some new type of sounds. That's basically it. Pesto Records. That's the website. You can pretty much find everything there. All the videos are going to be on the Pesto Records YouTube channel. My page is pretty much a link to all that stuff. If Gallons of Pork is active, I'm basically always on there.
Yeah. Same thing. So all those ads you just mentioned, the same thing for what? Facebook, Twitter, TikTok?
Yep. Right now, Instagram is the one that I'm usually on the most. I'm trying to get better at TikToking and stuff, but I feel like it's invasive.
It's just hard to like. I'm focusing on Instagram too, and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. It's hard to do everything.
It is.
It is. It's like, but whatever. But all right, cool. That's where we can find you on all social media platforms. Instagram, hit him up. Jacuzzi Fire, Pesto Records, Petey Pesto, Gallons of Pork, Collecting Reptiles. Pete, it was a great opportunity to sit down with you. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you guys for checking out another episode of Miltrick Media, and we will see you all soon.